Welcome to Dairy Pod, a podcast series from Dairy Australia. Featuring a range of experts, each episode offers insights into Australia's unique dairy farming conditions, as well as personal experiences and the latest in dairy innovation.
Hi everyone, welcome to Dairy Pod and thanks for tuning in. I'm Mick Fuller, National People Lead at Dairy Australia. In this podcast series, we'll be hearing from some of our farmers who are out there driving positive change in farm safety and wellbeing, and I'll be talking with them on how they're approaching the challenge, being innovative and adaptable as farmers do, making their farms safer for the people working there, and ultimately lifting their safety culture. We hope by sharing their stories, they can inspire our listeners to do the same. We're lucky today to be joined by Simon Scowen, who is one of our farm ambassadors based in Wingham in New South Wales, which is just up near Port Macquarie. Simon. So welcome and thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule today to talk with us. I'll hand over to you, Simon, in a minute to give us an introduction about yourself and the farm that you're involved with. But today we're talking about new employees in particular, how we can help set things up for them to keep them safe, because this group really represents a particular risk profile that does need some special attention. So with that introduction, Simon, I might throw over to you. Can you tell listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, how you came to be where you are?
Yep, too easy. All right, thanks, Mick, for talking to us today. As you said, I'm originally from Sydney, so no farming background to start with. Started farming in the Bega Valley, then transitioned to share farming in Northern Victoria. Entered into an equity partnership then in southeast South Australia, Mount Gambier, and then we dissolved that, and we've been up here on the mid-north coast of New South Wales for the last 8 years. So moved around a fair bit and been on many farms. And I think the common thing you see when you move about different farms is safety can tend to be something we put on the back burner. There's always something more pressing we think to do on a farm. And safety, we'll get around to that one day. But you've only got to talk to someone that's had a serious accident on farm, and there's always people are filled with regret that they weren't a bit more proactive in safety on farms. And it's something I think, as us in the dairy industry, like I've been farming for 30 years, we think we're bulletproof, and we can't let that transpose over to our staff. And so we've got to try to change this culture in farming that we're bulletproof and nothing will happen to us. So it's just something we try to be a little bit more proactive. I'm no expert. I don't say I'm perfect. And it's something we've always continually working on and striving on to get better at. Is on-farm safety.
Simon, that is a great introduction, and a career farmer of 30 years across 3 states. And Sydney thrown in there as well. That's a fantastic story. So that's great. And you're right. Every farmer I talk to on the farm says safety is important, and I truly believe them when they say that. They're genuine when they say that. But what does farm safety look like to you in your farm business? And how do you ensure that it remains a priority for your team?
Yeah, look, there's so many moving parts in farming, and we're dealing with animals, we're dealing with people, we're dealing with machinery, we're dealing with chemicals, we're dealing with water, we're dealing with exposure to the elements. Often we're working alone. There's so many issues that makes farming a dangerous industry, and we've got to really be on top of it. I've actually, my 3 kids are all in the mines, and when they come home, some of the stories they tell from, that occupation is, safety is just number one every day. It's just hammered home to them. And I think that's something that, we've been trying to do that here, is sort of make people aware, a lot of signage about, and it's involved, it doesn't have to be just the farmer or the manager themselves that has to drive this, that, involve your staff, get everyone involved. It's got to be a team effort. We all want to get home safe to our families at the end of the day, and often it's families that are working on farms. So you're involving kids and the like as well. So it's a complex issue.
Yeah. How many people work on your farm? What is the composition of your farm?
Yeah, we've got 12 employees here, and various skill set. We've actually always got usually 2 backpackers with us. So sometimes English isn't their primary language, so that has its own sort of set of difficulties. And they come and go, like they're here for 3, 4, 5 months. So induction is very important, that we strive to make sure that, and they're living on farm as well. So we've got to make sure that they're aware of, the safety issues and the safety culture we have on farm.
Yeah, that's great. Simon, you talk about your kids, working in mining, and at one stage, mining was the riskiest industry and occupation in Australia, but it's not anymore. And so you talk about culture. Now, it's not inevitable, but that because there's so many moving parts on a farm, that it will always be hazardous and always be dangerous, because other industries like mining, like aviation, have shown us that actually it can change and you can make hazardous industry really safe. But it doesn't come without effort, and that effort is, I guess, changing the culture. I wrote this down because I like this quote. Creating a culture where safety is deeply embedded is essential. And the quote I'm going to read out is from the Safer Farms report, and the quote is: "Culture is like the wind; it's invisible, yet its effect can be seen and felt. When it's blowing in your direction, it makes for smooth sailing. When it's blowing against you, everything is more difficult." And I reckon that's a good quote, because when things are going well for you, safety just is part of what you do. But I guess I'm thinking about on the farm, when machinery is broken down, when you're short on time, when people are fatigued, that's often when, safety drops in terms of its priority. And the good safety cultures really hold that, and the ones that aren't so strong, let it be deprioritised. And I guess that's when incidents and accidents and injuries can happen. What do you think about that? How do you ensure that the culture on your farm, with your 12 or so employees, safety remains top of mind and would always be top of mind?
Yeah, really agree, Mick. Like it's like as I said, it's, when things are smooth sailing, it's all great. And I guess it's something we annually go through our farm safety starter kit, the DA resource. We've found that fantastic, and the farm safety manual, that we are continually going through that and reviewing it. I think, what I've found is, there's always something to do on the farm. So I tend to delegate, that to somebody else. And I get somebody else that, on farm, one of our staff members that maybe haven't come from a farming background, haven't been farming for, very long, is to, say, look, safety is so important to us. What do we need to do? And get their feedback, and actually make them in charge of it. So we have, I've got particularly a staff member here that's taken upon herself to make the signage and implement a lot of the policies on farm that I look at and think, no, yep, I think that's okay. It's not that dangerous, but from someone else's perspective, it's totally different.
Yeah, I think, you spoke earlier about getting everyone involved. You're the employer, you're the farm owner, so ultimate responsibility sits with you, but it can't just be with you, because it has to be a shared responsibility at the end of the day. You got people working, alone. You can't be there all the time sort of supervising exactly what they do. So there has to be some shared ownership, and I guess by giving people some responsibility, like signage or something else, it gives them some skin in the game. It gives them some ownership in terms of it's in everyone's interest. I think that's I think that's a great sort of technique, and it's a really good sort of practical step. I guess turning our attention now to new employees, and when I think of new employees, I often think of school leavers who may have little sort of, life or work experience, I think of backpackers coming in that potentially, have never worked on a farm before. So I guess they present a risk profile that is quite different to, a seasoned farmer. How do you set things up on your farm to make sure that they're safe from day one? What advice could you give there?
I guess we've got a pretty detailed OH&S policy that's, pages and pages long that we print out and get everyone to sort of read it. And the emphasis with that is that it's everyone's responsibility. That, as a workplace, we're working here from 3 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. So I can't be out there with a big stick making sure everyone sort of follows procedures. So, a lot of emphasis has to go back on the individual to make sure they're working in a safe manner. So, so we've got a detailed document that outlines the overview of, the hazards on the farm and what could go wrong, and identifies that. And then I guess, their first day on the job, I like to be with them. So whether they're doing their first milking or the like, I try to always be there with them, give them an inspection of the farm and point out different safety issues we've got on farm. And then they have a buddy till they're confident. So, and that buddy can then sort of further enforce different things around the farm. We've got signage around the place that sort of just is a continual reminder of those particular issues on farm. But just make sure they're aware of it.
And how long would a buddy be in place for?
Oh, it's usually sort of up to a week.
Yep.
Usually for that first week, we've done 5 to 7 days. That they're basically someone's shadow, and they get to know our procedures and protocols in that time period.
Okay, so you got a documented plan. They read that and they acknowledge that, and that's an important part, because in the event that there is an incident sort of down the track, you do need documentation to show that this is what they've been shown. It can't be all undocumented. But then you follow that up with a walk around the farm yourself, where you highlight potential hazards. You see the person in action, so you get a sense of what their experience level is like and what their understanding of those risks actually are, I guess. And then you couple them with a buddy for a period of time until you're confident that they know what's going on. Well, what about things like equipment, quad bikes, tractors and whatnot? What's your rule with that and new employees?
Yeah, I guess we wait till they've been here a fair while before they're delegated those sort of responsibilities. And we have individuals. So, we have a set number of people that only ride the quad bikes. We only have a couple of people that will operate tractors. It's not here. Employees don't do everything. They are pigeonholed a little bit, which has its advantages and disadvantages. Well, one advantage of it is that it's pretty simple or a lot more streamlined to get that safety policy in place, that they make sure they're aware and familiar with that piece of equipment. And they are trained on that piece of equipment.
Yeah. And so you're saying you delegate some responsibilities to get people involved in your safety efforts and become part of the safety culture. How do you ensure that sort of you keep up to date with sort of any changes in the industry or in legislation? Do you get that from Dairy Australia, or where information from?
We find the resources from Dairy Australia, really, really helpful. As I said before, we continually going through the farm safety starter kit and our farm safety manual. We do it at least annually. We do a review of it and go through. And it's probably something. It's every time we get a new staff member, we sort of read through that and make sure that it's always up to date and nothing's changed. For us, we're always getting new backpackers every 3 or 4 months. So we're continually going through that and with them and making sure they're still relevant and up to date.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. That sounds it sounds really comprehensive. How about ongoing training once they're sort of through their sort of induction and onboarding period, say that first sort of 3 to 6 months in particular? What sort of ongoing training, can you tap into with your longer term employees?
Yep. So I guess a starter position here, you might be a milker. After sort of 3 to 6 months, you might progress to what we call a drover, and they're the ones that operate quad bikes. So our staff here, before they ride the quad bike, they watch a training video. I think it's one of the bike manufacturers have brought it out actually, and it's really comprehensive and goes through safe motorbike, quad bike operation. So we make sure they watch that and they understand that. They read the manual, then they're supplied with a helmet that they're responsible for, and away they go.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Simon. So I guess we're getting towards the end of the discussion now, but the takeouts that I have is, one, don't do it all yourself. Don't think you can do it all yourself. Whilst you're responsible, it's everyone's responsibility, and I think involving your staff in your safety plan is a great one. You've identified a buddy system and a visual walk around the farm to be identifying particular sort of higher risk areas. You document what you do with regards to your employees, so you can call on that if you need to in the future. You use the resources that are available within Dairy Australia. So you speak about Farm Safety Manual, Farm Safety Starter Kit. You can contact your regional office at Dairy Australia too, and they'll help people take that first step, or at any point sort of help you along that safety journey. So I think that sounds great. There's some really practical tips that I think people listening today could hopefully write down and start to implement for their own farms. So it's been great talking with you today, Simon. I really appreciate your time, and we'll include any resources that we've spoken about today in our podcast's notes, and also, as you mentioned before, just go onto the People on Dairy website. There's a wealth of information with regards to farm safety. We've got some really good resources in that. That includes information on employee induction and onboarding, checklists and the like. So good practical tips. But once again, Simon, thanks a lot for your time, and I appreciate it. Cheers.
Good talking to you. Cheers.
Thank you for joining today's Dairy Pod episode. We hope you found it enjoyable and insightful. For more information, check out the episode notes. You can stay up to date by following Dairy Pod on your favourite podcast platform. To get in touch, visit dairyaustralia.com.au. Until next time, take care.